time, Haskins was fined $40,000. Yesterday, the quarterback himself addressed the situation.
My actions following the game on Sunday were immature and unacceptable. I put my teammates, coaches, and staff members at risk and let the fans of this organization down. I take full responsibility and accountability for that. Being a quarterback in this league comes with great responsibility and leadership, and I have failed to live up to those standards with my actions. I accept the consequences for my actions and decisions to take away my captaincy. I'll do everything in my power to make the most of my second chance.
Okay, so it has been a week where we've been very critical of him, as just about everyone has, and I take back none of it. What I will say, however, is that I was impressed that he stood there, or in that case sat there, and addressed the situation directly and took questions, which frequently, at times even in that organization, that level of accountability is not always available. So I will give him credit for that. Having said that, Lewis, what are your thoughts on this situation and where it goes from here?
Yeah, man, look, I couldn't be more disappointed, to be perfectly honest with you. This is a guy who I've had a lot of hope for, I put a lot of support behind, because I do think he is a wonderful talent as far as playing quarterback is concerned. But something is not right as far as the choices that he's making, the attention to detail that he is, administering in his career, and how this is all meshing together down there. And look, I have been very critical of the organization itself in terms of how they arrived at the decision to draft him and the subsequent support or lack thereof that they have put behind him. And I think, that's been well documented on my behalf. But these kind of decisions right here, at this point in time in the season, given the landscape that we're dealing with from a societal perspective, are just unexcusable. I mean, you've been given an opportunity to play again because Alex is hurt. Your team is in the thick of the playoff hunt. You're a captain. You know that you have a lot of scrutiny on you because of things that have happened before, and the fact that you're a black quarterback, and people are going to hold you to a higher standard whether you like it or not, and you still make these kind of decisions knowing that you're putting yourself at risk, your teammates at risk, everyone that's around you at risk, and you still make that kind of decision. That's just unfathomable to me that you can do that. And it's very disappointing. I'm hoping it's something he can learn from, because his future, to me, is not going to be in Washington. But this is extremely, extremely disappointing for me.
D. Wood, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I hate to pile on, but I have to echo a lot of things that Lewis just said. Think about this. Ron Rivera comes in. He's not Ron Rivera's guy. Ron Rivera brings over Kyle Allen from the Carolina Panthers. So that should have let him know right off the bat that, everything that I get, I have to earn. I have to earn that. And you got on the field because of an injury to Alex Smith. And here it is, your team is fighting for a playoff spot. You lose a tough game to the Seattle Seahawks, and then you go out and do something like that in the middle of a pandemic. Like, it just makes me think, like, what is your thought process? What are you thinking? What's your priority as a player, as a captain, for the Washington football team? It's very disappointing.
Shefty, what are your thoughts as far as the future is concerned, in particular for Dwayne?
Well, here's the thing, Greeny. It's not the first time he's made a decision like this season. Earlier this season, he was fined for trying to sneak guests into a hotel while the Washington football team was on the road. And he said at that point in time he was going to learn from it. And then this happens. And when you speak to people around the organization, they say he's very likable and people enjoy being around him. But I think a lot of people think at this point in time that it might be best for Dwayne Haskins to have a change of scenery, to get away from the area where he went to high school, to get away from some of the people who have been in his life, to get away from some of the people that have guided him here, to make a break and to go to an area where he would get a fresh start with different people, with different voices in his ear. That's the long-term future. Short-term, by the way, they may need him this Saturday because it's not assured that Alex Smith is going to be starting due to his calf injury. I think there's a sense that Dwayne Haskins is going to wind up starting Saturday against Carolina in a game that Washington must win to win the NFC East. And what a storyline that would be in a week in which he's fined and has his captaincy taken away. Now he's got to win the game for a team trying to win the NFC East.
Yeah, against Ron Rivera's former team, the Carolina Panthers. So there are any number of storylines there. Let's see how it plays out going forward. Meantime, let's go on the clock. Bunch of other things to get to from around the National Football League. And Dominique Foxworth you are first up. So the AFC North is very much yet to be decided. So 30 seconds. Who do you believe is going to wind up winning that division?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Steelers. As tough as they've had the last 3 weeks, they'd have to lose 5 in a row to drop this division. That seems so unrealistic for such a well-coached team. I understand that their next 2 games are going to be tough. They have the Colts, and then they have the Browns. But I know the Browns, we feel like they're the new Browns, and it's going to be different. They still have had trouble with those top teams in their division, and I don't suspect that if they really need that win in the final week, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get it from the Steelers. So I think the Steelers hold on.
That would be an unbelievable matchup, by the way, for the final weekend of the season. The Browns get the Jets this weekend, and as you mentioned, the Steelers have a tough game with Indianapolis. If both those games go that way, then that game in Cleveland decides the division. D. Wood, you are next. You were the first one who said on this show that you thought Jalen Hurts would start some games in Philly this year. So right now, what does Carson Wentz's future look like to you? 30 seconds. D. Wood, go.
Yeah, Greeny, I think his future is outside of Philadelphia. When you listen to everything that's going on, Carson Wentz has already made known in various back channels that he doesn't want to be a backup. He doesn't want to be in that position, and I understand the financial ramifications of this, and it makes it hard. But when you hear people talk about Jalen Hurts and the energy and the leadership that he brings to the table, it's going to make it hard for Carson Wentz to be back in that leadership role again for the Eagles.
Whoever would have thought that we'd be talking about this just a few months ago, but that is where we find ourselves. Shefty, next up for you, the Patriots. They have 2 games left and then the rest of their lives to come. What should we expect to be looking at from their quarterback situation going forward? Shefty, go.
Well, they don't have the solution right now, Greeny. Cam Newton has struggled this year, and you could say that that's for a lack of talent that the team has had at the wide receiver position. That has something to do with it, but obviously he has not played well. The team has not played well. It missed out on the playoffs. They're right back to where they were in the offseason, trying to figure out who will be the quarterback of this team long-term. Jarrett Stidham's the only quarterback they have under contract for next year. Clearly, they're going to have to make some decisions going forward.
All right, it's going to be an interesting time of change. Now, I have a few different things I want to get in. Shefty, we will get to this Lions news, but we're going to get there sort of an interesting way. We're going to get there through this pass that Matt Stafford threw last weekend that I feel like did not get nearly enough attention. Feast your eyes on this. This is Matt Stafford looking left, looking right, and then throwing the ball directly down the middle of the field. That is a no-look pass that would have made an NBA point guard jealous, that might just make Patrick Mahomes jealous. It does lead you to one of those who wore it better kind of moments between him and Patrick Mahomes. That is one spectacular play. So it's a great pass. But it brings us to this, Adam Schefter. Yesterday on this program, when we asked the same question that I just asked you about the future at quarterback for New England, Dominique Foxworth brought up the name Matt Stafford, that maybe it's time for a new start in Detroit, and that maybe Stafford would be an option, if he is on the move, for someone like Bill. I just wanted to bounce it off you and see if you thought there could potentially be anything to that as we go forward.
Well, what I would say is this, that the Lions have an opening at GM. They have an opening at head coach. They're going to have to make some big decisions. And so clearly